Welcome back to another episode 14, and why people don't get along. Thank you to my co-host, Wes.
Here.
Hey, if you're listening to this podcast, hey, we don't ever charge for this. The only thing that we do is ask that you politely tag us on social media, share it with a friend, invite somebody on in. That's all we ask. To come hang out with me and Wes. Or as Wes likes to say, Wes and asshole.
I never say that when you're around.
No, I know.
I don't know how it got back to you.
So this is a great question. Do you know why people mostly don't get along? I don't even know if I can say mostly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know why people fight and bicker and all the things? What's your take on that?
The one thing I think we don't, you know how people, that old phrase, people never change.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a limiting belief, I think, because I think people are there may be parts of you that are pretty galvanized that don't change, but I think by and large, people would be pretty impressed with a person's ability to change.
People can change.
People can, and they do.
Yeah.
And I think it's
but not all people.
Not all people.
Yeah.
But when you can identify first how you're changing and how and when you do it, and you get familiar with how that feels, and you can identify it and know how you're navigating life. When you do, you're going to be more equipped to give other people the grace to change because they do.
Yeah, what your emotional allergies are.
Right. And when you know somebody's, like, I had a guy tell me one time, and this guy, I don't typically care for what he says. Not that we don't get along, but it's just like, yeah, man, I hear you. I'm listening, but neat, thanks.
Yeah.
But he did say something that stuck out. He said, I just have to believe that everybody's doing the best they can. I was like, well, shit. I don't know how you could take issue with a whole lot of that. Like if you just...
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
I mean, like, hey, that you just got to assume. Like,
say that again.
I just have to assume that they're doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
That's a good outlook.
And doing the best you can doesn't imply that you're not working on yourself or not willing to work on yourself.
Right.
It's just saying, hey, these are the tools that I have today, and I'm just making the best of it.
Yep. Sometimes you're making the best of a bad situation.
Yeah. Here's why I think people can't get along. And I'm not a psychologist. Do not take this. This is just my redneck opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Don't take it. This is not meant to teach you or save your marriage or anything like that.
But if it does, cool.
But if it does, that's pretty cool.
You're welcome.
We all have emotional allergies. We have emotional things inside of us that will fire off like an allergy when somebody ticks it.
Yeah.
Somebody gets it. Cottonwood. Man.
Cottonwood.
I see cottonwood. I just see it in the air, and boom, man,
Yeah.
I'm running home, and the nose spray, and the medicine in the morning, the medicine in the evening, and doing everything to bury that allergy. But guess what happens? She still rears her ugly head.
That's right.
Now, typically what happens in a relationship, and a lot of people don't know this, Jamie and I actually went to a marriage retreat and found this out a couple years back. It's the meta symbol.
The meta symbol.
Yeah. So when one person's emotional allergy gets triggered, they react in a way that triggers their spouse's emotional allergy, and guess what? And it just sits there and perpetuates.
Yep.
So we actually did a study, or not a study.
That sounds real smart, man.
That's real smart.
We conducted a study. We made a spreadsheet.
And doggone it, 6 beers is how much? we fill our things out, and we kind of get back. And mine is fear of abandonment.
Huh.
And when I feel fear of abandonment, I'll calmly reach out. But this is why I used to fight all the time, because whenever I wasn't getting the attention, I would do anything to get it. So whenever I feel like my wife is abandoning me in whatever context that it is, then boom, man, I start the fight train.
Yeah.
And then she's flight, I'm fight, and the next thing you know, it's spinning away. But it's so crazy. I had a guy tell me a long time ago. He said it's crazy that we all have a filter that is only made for us, by the people around us.
Yeah.
And we assume that everyone sees life through that filter that we see it through. And that couldn't be further from the truth if it tried.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine, like, looking through the filter of somebody that survived the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Like, my filter's nothing.
No.
Shut up. Like, that, or you know, Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah.
You know, people like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a filter, you know.
Have you heard his talk for the Alabama football team a couple years ago?
Yes, I did.
God, that's good.
Dude.
It's on YouTube. Somebody go find that.
That guy. Yeah. Man, I wonder if he'd ever, he's not far from here.
Is he really? Where's he
Yeah,
at?
he's
Texas?
from Texas, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I wonder if we could ever get him on the show.
I'm sure we could. I bet he likes barbecue.
I bet he does, man.
We know a little thing about barbecue.
We know a little
bit.
thing about barbecue.
So I think what you're getting at something. You're saying if we try to list it, you got your allergies that are there already, and you react to them, and I think you talked about filters. That's almost like your experience.
That's your
like
experience. That's so and your filter is brought to you by you and those around you. Right? Because people can put shit in your head too. Your parents.
That's your experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clean your plate.
Yeah. And then you do.
Yeah. Save your money. Put it in the bank. You know. Go to college. Which I could talk about that for 9 days.
Yeah.
I thought that was the biggest bunch of bullshit.
Man, if they didn't make it so affordable, and more people,
Yeah. What was it? OU's $40,000 a semester now or something?
Yeah, it costs you more to go there than you will make in an entry-level job after you've been there for 4 years.
Imagine how many life mistakes I could make.
Yeah, it still come out in the black.
Still come out ahead.
Yeah, I could make some bad investments.
So here's the way I like to see it. Like, we've met that person, and, you know, you just sit there, and I had one of my friends tell me a long time ago. He says, whenever the hardest thing to do is catch it before it happens.
The trigger.
Yeah.
Dude,
that is so hard. And I've tried, and just the other day, man, I got pissed off about something, but I caught it, like, no shit, probably 10 seconds in, and I just like mentally, I reached across the line, I grabbed my, emotional self and pulled him back. I was like,
can't afford that.
We're not allowing this.
Yeah.
And I'm having this conversation with my head, and the person sitting there looking at me like,
we had a standing
probably
meeting.
Scared them to death, because then I just went straight faced, and I didn't say nothing, and they didn't know that I was having a conversation with myself in my head.
That me and me were talking.
Yeah,
we were hashing
me
it out.
having a conversation right now. So.
Hey, we're having a conversation.
But that's the one thing I can say. I have spent a lot of time, a lot of money to work on myself and to stop that, and I was so proud of myself for catching that. Yeah. Granted, it was a little bit after. But I still pulled it back. But I had a guy tell me one time, he said, when that happens to you, he said, the hardest thing you're going to ever have to do is offer them grace and compassion.
Yeah.
That's going to be the hardest thing. The easy thing to do is to attack or flight or,
burn it down.
What is it? Flight, fight, freeze.
Yeah.
Those are the easy things to do because that's the way we've conditioned ourselves. The hardest thing to do is to offer grace and compassion and just go, what do they say in the church? Bless her heart.
Bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
That's almost, it's been used so much, it's almost like an insult now. Oh, bless your heart. Don't bless my heart. You know what I'm talking about.
No.
Well, they say that old adage, it's like hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people. That
You just got to anticipate it.
And just so you know, like, we all do it. We hurt people.
Yeah.
I have. You have. We all have. And it's. I tell you what, as you get older, you get wiser, and you start seeing. When you start seeing your mistakes.
Yeah.
And oh man,
that's everything.
That's the gut punch.
Yeah.
That I've even told my kids. I was like, hey man, yeah, y'all got the short end of the stick with my ass, but I'm making it better.
Yeah.
And I understand where I went wrong and what I did wrong, and where I wasn't the best. And I don't need you to you don't need to understand past me. You don't need to, if you want to give me grace and compassion for the way I grew up, I'll take it, but you don't need to.
Yeah.
Because I understand that about myself, and I'm doing the work to fix myself.
Right.
That got deep, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna start crying or anything, so.
Well, you can if you want, man. You're good.
I wish, I don't know.
You can if you need to. It's a safe place.
But I always figure it like gears.
Yeah. Like a transmission.
Like a transmission, and this is when the gears touch on the teeth. This is when people don't get along.
Yeah.
Then I always go, okay, let's just say you move a little bit this way and I move a little this way, and then
we're cool.
There's got to be movement somewhere.
Yeah.
There's got to be movement, and anything I can do, I will try to do. Unless I'm just on a hard pass, then I'll just be like, no.
Yeah.
I'm taking my gears and going to a different transmission.
I have elected to move to a new transmission.
Somebody let me out of here.
Open this case. So we don't have the answer to the question why people don't get along.
For me, it's two things. Why people don't is because people don't look inward enough.
Yeah.
And when you start looking inward, you start looking outward with a little bit more grace and compassion.
Right. You see the world a little different.
If you did those two things, those two alone, well, we would lose all of our news channels. They'd be shut down.
They had their time.
Yeah, they'd be shut down. They couldn't perpetuate the big lie anymore, but,
I feel like it changes every day.
Yeah. So that's what I say. Look inward, fix yourself, and offer grace and compassion to other people. It's that easy.
It feels like the end of a yoga session right here. We just namaste.
Namaste. I used to do yoga. You know that?
Yoga's great.
Yoga is awesome.
It's
hard.
It's awesome.
It's hard.
Yes, it is.
It's real hard.
Yeah, you get in there and she's like, "Okay, put your foot behind your head." We're in a room full of people. How you think
my foot's behind her head right over? Like,
You're like, what roundabout way?
Yeah.
Like, can you give me a?
I don't bend like that, sister.
Yeah.
So. Well, hey, man, I want to thank everybody for watching. As always, man, if you like what we're doing here, make sure to share this with somebody. Tag us on social media at Kosmo Unfiltered. We don't ever charge for anything, so that's the only thing we ask is share the love. And we'll catch you on the next video. Peace.